The great chamber of the Galactic Council stood silent as Ambassador Marcus Chen finished speaking. His voice had carried across the massive hall, reaching the representatives of 47 different species. Now, only silence answered him. Chen looked up at the council members seated in their elevated platforms. The Valorians sat highest, their blue skin gleaming under the chamber lights. Their leader, High Chancellor Tevron, stared down at Chen with eyes that showed no kindness. Around him sat the other elder races, species that had traveled the stars for thousands of years before humanity even discovered fire. "Your plea is noted, Ambassador," Tevron said finally. His voice was cold. "But the decision stands. Earth will accept our sanctions or Earth will stand alone." Chen felt his heart sink. He had spent 3 months preparing his speech. He had shown them the data, the projections, the terrible truth of what these sanctions would mean. 12 human colonies would face starvation. Over 2 million people would die within a year if supply ships could not reach them. "High Chancellor," Chen tried again, keeping his voice steady, "I am asking you to reconsider. These colonies are home to families, children, elderly people who cannot. We are aware of what colonies contain, Ambassador." Tevron's tone made it clear the conversation was over. "Your species has existed in this council for 50 years. Yet you continue to act as if the rules do not apply to you. You expand too quickly. You ask for too many resources. You refuse to accept proper guidance from those who came before you." A Valorian council member to Tevron's left spoke up. "Perhaps humans need to learn humility. Your kind thinks too highly of yourselves." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Not from all the species present, Chen noticed. Some of the younger races remained quiet, but the elder races, the ones with power, they laughed. Chen's hands tightened into fists at his sides. He kept his face calm, professional. Inside, anger burned hot and bright. "We have one more demand," Tevron continued. "Earth will place all military vessels under council oversight. You will share all weapons technology with our inspectors. You will allow us to station observers on your military bases." The chamber fell silent again. This was new. This went far beyond sanctions. "That is not acceptable," Chen said quietly. "Then you choose total embargo," Tevron replied. "No trade with any council species. No access to council space routes. No aid, no support, no protection. Earth will be alone in the galaxy." Chen looked around the chamber one more time. A few faces showed sympathy. The Srathi ambassador, a reptilian female, met his eyes and gave a slight nod. It was small comfort. "I need to consult with my government," Chen said. "You have 48 hours, Tevron announced. "This council is adjourned." The platforms began to lower. Council members filed out, talking among themselves. Chen stood alone in the center of the chamber for a long moment. 50 years. Humanity had tried for 50 years to make peace, to follow the rules, to earn respect. And this was the answer. He walked out slowly, his security team falling in around him. They said nothing, but he could see the anger on their faces too. They had all heard the laughter. Back in his quarters, Chen activated the secure communication link to Earth. The signal would take 3 minutes to reach home, 3 more for a response. He sat down heavily in his chair. "Prime Minister," he said to the camera, "they have rejected our plea. The sanctions stand, and they have added new demands. They want control of our military." He laid out everything, keeping his report precise and factual. When he finished, he added one more thing. "Ma'am, they have made their position clear. They see us as children who need to be punished and controlled. I do not believe negotiation is possible anymore." 6 minutes later, Prime Minister Elizabeth Jiang appeared on his screen. She looked tired. The weight of leading humanity through this crisis showed on her face. "Ambassador Chen, you have done everything possible, but I agree with your assessment. They have pushed too far." She paused, then said carefully, "Return to Earth immediately. We need you here for what comes next." "What are you planning, ma'am?" Jiang's expression hardened. "They think they know us, Marcus. They think they understand human military capability. They are wrong. They have been wrong for a very long time. Ma'am, come home, Ambassador. And when you speak to the council again, tell them this. We remember the Alamo." Chen felt a chill run down his spine. He knew history. Every human did. The Alamo was where defenders held out against impossible odds, where they fought to the last man, where they made the enemy pay for every inch of ground. It was a symbol of human stubbornness, of refusing to surrender even when surrender seemed like the only choice. But it was also something else. It was a code phrase, one that Chen had been told about when he first became ambassador, along with several others. Code phrases that meant Earth was preparing for war. "I understand, ma'am," Chen said quietly. "One more thing, Marcus." Zhang leaned closer to the camera. "Tell Admiral Volkov I said the shadows are moving." The screen went dark. Chen sat in silence for several minutes. Then he began packing. His hands moved automatically, placing clothes and documents into bags. His mind raced. "The shadows are moving." Another code phrase. This one meant something specific. The Shadow Fleet was being activated. For 40 years since humanity's first real conflicts with the Council, Earth had been building in secret. Resources that the Council thought went to civilian projects had been diverted. Scientists who the Council believed worked on farming technology had actually been developing weapons. Ships that looked like cargo haulers on Council sensors were actually something very different. And the Shadow Fleet. Ships built in hidden shipyards beyond Council observation. Vessels equipped with technology that humanity had never revealed. The fleet had been Admiral Sarah Volkov's project, her life's work. Chen had seen reports, though even he did not know everything. He knew the fleet was real. He knew it was powerful. But he had always hoped it would never be needed. Now it seemed hope was not enough. He left his quarters and headed for the transport station. His ship would leave within the hour. As he walked through the Council station's corridors, he saw aliens going about their business. Traders negotiating deals, diplomats chatting over meals, engineers repairing systems. Normal life. They had no idea what was coming. Chen thought about the human colonies that would starve under the sanctions. He thought about the families, the children. He thought about the laughter in the Council chamber, the contempt in Tevron's eyes. 50 years of trying to be good neighbors. 50 years of following rules that seemed designed to keep humanity weak. 50 years of swallowing pride and accepting insults. And now it was ending. His ship lifted off on schedule. As it pulled away from the station, Chen looked back at the massive structure. The heart of Galactic Council power. The place where elder races ruled and younger races obeyed. He wondered how many of those people going about their normal lives would survive what came next. He wondered if any of them understood that their leaders had just made the worst mistake in galactic history. They had pushed humanity too far. They had demanded surrender when they should have offered respect. They had laughed when they should have listened. High Chancellor Tevron thought he was dealing with weak primitives who would bow to superior force. He was about to learn different. Chen activated his personal communicator one more time. He sent a single message to a secure military channel, just 3 words. "We remember Alamo." Across human space, the message was received. On hidden bases and secret shipyards, alerts went out. Crews rushed to battle stations. Weapons that had been kept dark for decades began powering up. The shadows were moving. And the galaxy would never be the same. The convoy moved slowly through space. 15 cargo ships carrying food and medicine to the colony on New Haven. Captain Jennifer Wu stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, watching her screens carefully. They were still 3 hours from their destination. "Captain," her sensor officer called out. "I'm reading multiple contacts. Valorian signatures." Wu felt her stomach tighten. "How many?" 8 warships, ma'am. Cruiser class. They're moving to intercept. This was it. The Council had said there would be consequences for ignoring the embargo. Wu had hoped they were bluffing. Apparently not. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Channel open, Captain." "Valorian vessels. This is Captain Wu of the Civilian Transport Freedom's Hope. We are carrying humanitarian supplies to New Haven Colony. We request safe passage under galactic law." The reply came quickly. The Valorian commander's face appeared on screen. His blue features twisted in what might have been a smile. "Negative, human ship. You are in violation of Council sanctions. Turn back immediately or be fired upon. Commander, we have sick children on that colony. We have elderly people who need medicine. Please just let us through. Turn back. You have 5 minutes to comply." The screen went dark. Wu looked at her crew. She saw fear on their faces, but also determination. They all knew what was at stake. "Helm, maintain course. Communications. Send a priority message to Earth. Tell them what's happening here." "Yes, ma'am." The 5 minutes passed slowly. Wu counted each one. She thought about her daughter back on Earth. about her husband who had died in the mining accident 5 years ago. She thought about the children on New Haven who needed the medicine in her cargo hold. When the timer hit 0, the Valorian ships opened fire. The first blast hit the cargo ship on the convoy's right flank. Wu watched the vessel explode, debris spinning into space. 12 crew members gone in an instant. All ships scatter. Wu screamed into the comm. Emergency evasion. But cargo ships were not built for combat maneuvers. They were slow, clumsy. The Valorian warships picked them off one by one. Wu's ship shook as weapons fire struck the hull. Alarms screamed. The lights flickered. Hull breach on decks 3 and 4, someone shouted. Life support failing in Section B, another voice called. Wu gripped her chair as another blast hit them. The bridge filled with smoke. She could hear crew members coughing, crying out in pain. Captain, we're venting atmosphere. Structural integrity at 20%. We can't. The final blast cut through the Freedom's Hope like a knife through paper. Captain Wu saw the viewport crack, saw space rushing in, and then she saw nothing at all. Of the 15 cargo ships, 5 survived by surrendering immediately. 10 were destroyed. 847 people died in space that day, guilty of nothing except trying to feed hungry colonists. The footage reached Earth 7 hours later. Every news station broadcast it. People watched in horror as civilian ships were torn apart. They heard Captain Wu's last transmission, her desperate plea for the children on New Haven. In Geneva, in the War Command Center, Prime Minister Zhang watched the footage 3 times. Then she turned to the military officers assembled in the room. They have crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed, she said quietly. Admiral Volkov, are your forces ready? Admiral Sarah Volkov stood. She was a tall woman with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her uniform was perfectly pressed, her bearing rigid. But her eyes, those showed the barely controlled rage of someone who had lost people she was supposed to protect. Yes, Prime Minister. The Shadow Fleet has been at full readiness for 6 days. We anticipated this. We are prepared. Then execute Operation Righteous Fury. Yes, ma'am. Volkov turned to her staff. Send the signal. All units commence operations. Target Valoria Prime System. Across human space, hundreds of ships began moving. But these were not cargo vessels. These were warships that had been hidden in the darkness beyond scanner range for decades. Ships equipped with technology the Council did not know humans possessed. The Shadow Fleet emerged from dark space like ghosts becoming solid. One moment, the space around Valoria Prime was empty. The next, 40 human warships appeared, their weapons already charging. Valorian defense stations detected them immediately. Alarms sounded across the system. Military commanders scrambled to respond, but they were too slow. Admiral Volkov watched from her flagship, the Indomitable, as the battle unfolded. Her tactical display showed every ship, every station, every weapon in the system. Target locks confirmed, her weapons officer reported. All stations are military only? Volkov asked. Confirmed, Admiral. No civilian populations on any target. Fire. The human fleet struck with precision that shocked the Valorians. Quantum displacement drives allowed the human ships to jump short distances instantly, appearing and disappearing faster than Valorian targeting systems could track. Human AI warfare coordination meant every ship moved in perfect harmony, covering each other, striking weak points with ruthless efficiency, and the weapons themselves. Humanity had spent 40 years studying ancient technology from derelict ships found in deep space. The particle beams that lanced out from human vessels cut through Valorian shields like they were not even there. The first Valorian station, a massive military installation that had stood guard over their homeworld for 3 centuries, broke apart in less than 30 seconds. The second followed 20 seconds later. Then the third Valorian warships rushed to engage, but they were outmatched. Human ships jumped around them, behind them, hitting from angles that should have been impossible. Valorian admirals watched in disbelief as their formations were torn apart. They are nothing like the reports said. One Valorian commander gasped on an open channel. How did they develop this technology? How did we not know? Within 18 minutes, 12 Valorian military stations were reduced to scrap metal floating in space. The human fleet had not fired a single shot at civilian targets. Not one. Every strike had been measured, precise, surgical. Admiral Volkov's face appeared on every Valorian communication channel, military and civilian. People of Valoria, she said, her voice calm and cold. Your military has murdered 847 civilians. They were carrying food and medicine. They were unarmed. Your ships destroyed them without mercy. She paused, letting that sink in. We are not like you. We have destroyed your military stations, but we have harmed no civilians. This is human justice. This is what proportional response looks like when you push us too far. Another pause. Your High Chancellor demanded our surrender. Instead, he will have war. Tell him that Earth remembers. Tell him that humanity does not forget. Tell him that we gave peace every chance and he threw it away. Volkov's image disappeared. The Shadow Fleet held position around Valoria Prime for 6 more hours. They did not fire again. They simply waited, weapons ready, showing the Valorians that they could strike whenever they chose. On other worlds, other Council species watched the news in shock. The weak humans, the junior species that everyone dismissed, had just humiliated the mighty Valorian Empire in their own home system. High Chancellor Tevron raged in his command center. How is this possible? Our intelligence said they had primitive weapons. They said human ships were slow and weak. His military advisors had no answers. Their intelligence had been based on old data, on human ships that were deliberately shown to Council observers. Nobody had suspected the Shadow Fleet existed. Nobody had imagined humans could advance so quickly in secret. Mobilize everything, Tevron snarled. Call in the Kathari. Tell them we need their fleet. Humanity will burn for this. But even as he gave orders, even as he planned revenge, a part of Tevron felt something unfamiliar, something he had not experienced in his long life of power and privilege. He felt fear. Across the galaxy, the younger species, the ones who had suffered under Council rule for generations, watched and wondered. If humanity could stand up to the elder races, could they? The galaxy was changing, and the Council, which had ruled unchallenged for millennia, was beginning to crack. In the War Command Center on Earth, Prime Minister Zhang received Admiral Volkov's report. Operation successful, ma'am. All objectives achieved. 0 human casualties. Thank you, Admiral. And now? Now we wait and see if they are smart enough to back down. But Prime Minister, I do not think they will. The Valorians will call in allies. This is just the beginning. Zhang nodded slowly. Then we prepare for what comes next. Make sure every human world is ready. If they want war, we will give them war. But on our terms. She looked at the tactical display showing human ships across the galaxy. The Shadow Fleet was just the beginning. Humanity had more surprises waiting, more weapons the Council did not know existed. They had pushed humanity too far, treated them like children to be punished. Now they would learn the truth. Earth was done bowing. Earth was done asking permission. Earth was done being afraid. The fury had only just begun. The Emergency Council session began 12 hours after the attack on Valoria Prime. Representatives from all 47 member species gathered in the Great Chamber. But this time the mood was very different from before. High Chancellor Tevron stood at his podium, his blue skin darker than usual with rage. The humans have committed an act of war. They have attacked Valorian sovereign territory. They must be punished with total extinction. Several elder race representatives nodded in agreement, but others remained silent. Ambassador Marcus Chen stood in the human section, watching them carefully. A delegate from the Sarathi stepped forward. Her reptilian features showed no emotion as she spoke. The humans attacked military targets only. They killed no civilians. This was in response to Valorian forces destroying civilian ships. Perhaps we should consider negotiation. Negotiation? Tevron's voice rose. They have humiliated the Valorian Empire. They must learn their place. And what is their place? This came from a different voice, one of the younger species. For 50 years, we have watched the Council treat humans with contempt. We have seen the same treatment given to many junior species. Perhaps the humans are simply tired of being treated like slaves. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some angry, some thoughtful. Chen stepped forward. The Galactic Council has a choice to make. You can recognize that humanity deserves equal treatment, equal rights, equal respect. Or you can choose war. But if you choose war, you should know what you are choosing. Threats from a primitive species, Tevron sneered. Not threats. Facts. Chen activated a holographic display. For 40 years, while you thought we were building farms and factories, we were also building something else. We were preparing for this day because we knew it would come. We knew that eventually you would push us too far. The display showed images of human technology, weapons, ships, Things the Council had never seen before. You thought you knew us, Chen continued. You did not. You have no idea what humans are capable of when survival is at stake. This session is over, Tevron announced. The Council will vote on military action against Earth. All in favor? You will not have time to vote, Chen interrupted. Because the Cathari are already moving their fleet to attack us. We know this. We have known for 6 hours. Shocked silence filled the chamber. The Cathari Collective has deployed 200 warships, Chen said calmly. They are heading for human space right now. They think they will crush us easily. They are wrong. Tevron smiled coldly. Then you admit defeat. No, I am warning you. What happens next is on you. We tried peace. You rejected it. We tried negotiation. You laughed at us. Now you send your attack dogs to kill us, fine. But remember that we warned you. Remember that you had a choice. Chen walked out of the chamber. Behind him, the Council erupted in argument. Some wanted to recall the Cathari fleet. Others demanded humanity's destruction. The unity that had held the Council together for thousands of years was fracturing. The Cathari fleet moved through space with confidence. Commander Shalara stood on the bridge of her flagship, studying the tactical displays. 200 of the finest warships in the galaxy, crewed by warriors who had never known defeat. The humans would break like all the others had broken. We will arrive at Proxima Gate in 4 hours, her navigator reported. That is the main human military station in this sector. Good, Shalara said. We will destroy it, then move on to human colony worlds. Make an example of them. But 3 hours later, her confidence began to crack. Commander, sensors are detecting unusual readings ahead. Explain. I am not sure, ma'am. There appears to be nothing there, but our quantum scanners are picking up distortions in space itself, as if something is there but we cannot see it. Ghost readings, Shalara's second officer suggested. The stress before battle affects even the best equipment. But 30 minutes later, as the Cathari fleet approached Proxima Gate, the ghost readings became very real. 40 human ships appeared from nowhere, emerging from some kind of stealth field. They had been waiting, invisible, while the Cathari fleet flew right past them. All ships battle formation, Shalara ordered. Engage the enemy. The battle began badly for the Cathari and got worse with every passing second. The humans did not fight like any enemy they had faced before. Human ships jumped in and out of reality itself, appearing behind Cathari vessels, firing, then disappearing before return fire could strike them. And then humanity unveiled something new. Something terrible. 3 human ships moved to the center of the Cathari formation. They activated devices that the Council had thought impossible. Weaponized gravitational singularities, artificial black holes carefully controlled, unleashed into the middle of the Cathari fleet. Ships were torn apart by gravitational forces. Hulls crumpled like paper. Crew members died instantly as the laws of physics turned against them. Shalara watched in horror as 30 ships disappeared into impossible darkness. Fall back. All ships fall back, she screamed. But falling back was not simple when facing enemies who could appear anywhere. Human ships materialized at the edges of the Cathari formation, cutting off retreat routes. They struck with precision, targeting engines and weapons, crippling ships rather than always destroying them. When the battle ended 3 hours later, the Cathari had lost 120 ships. 60% of their fleet was gone. Humanity had lost 3 vessels. Commander Shalara's ship was damaged but intact. She stared at her screens in disbelief. The mighty Cathari collective, undefeated in battle for 300 years, had been crushed by 40 human ships. A transmission came through. Admiral Volkov's face appeared on Shalara's screen. Cathari Commander, power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. You and your surviving crews will be treated according to the laws of war. Any resistance will be met with force. Shalara looked around her bridge. Half her crew was dead or wounded. Her ship was dying. She could order a final suicide attack, take a few humans with her. That would be the warrior's way. But she thought about her crew, the young Cathari who had followed her into battle. They did not deserve to die for the Council's arrogance. We surrender, she said quietly. Within hours, news of the battle reached every world in the galaxy. The Cathari, legendary warriors who had enforced Council rule for centuries, defeated, humiliated, broken. But something else happened that shocked the galaxy even more. The human ships that boarded Cathari vessels treated prisoners with respect. They provided medical care to the wounded. They allowed the dead to be honored according to Cathari traditions. They showed mercy. Commander Shalara found herself in a medical bay on a human ship, her wounds being treated by a human doctor who worked with gentle efficiency. Why? Shalara asked. Why what? The doctor replied. Why treat us with kindness? We came to kill you. We would have destroyed your colonies, killed your civilians. The doctor paused in her work. Because you are prisoners of war, and we follow rules even when others do not. Because mercy is what separates us from monsters. Because even in war we remember we are fighting living beings, not just targets. Shalara felt something break inside her. She had spent her life believing the Cathari were superior warriors. That strength was everything. But these humans had shown both strength and mercy. They had won the battle and then refused to act like conquerors. Meanwhile, on Earth, in a secure facility beneath Geneva, scientists worked frantically. They had received data from the battle, and what they found disturbed them greatly. Dr. James Foster pulled up images on a holographic display. Prime Minister, we need to show you something. Prime Minister Zhang entered the lab. What is it, Doctor? During the battle, our ships detected unusual energy signatures on some of the Cathari vessels. We analyzed the data. Ma'am, those ships had archaeological artifacts on board. Ancient technology. Precursor technology. Zhang felt her blood run cold. The precursors? But they went extinct millions of years ago. We thought so, but we have been finding their technology for decades. Ancient ships, dead stations, mysterious devices. We used some of it to develop our displacement drives, our gravitational weapons. And now it seems the Council has been finding it too. What are you saying? Foster pulled up more images. Strange symbols. Technology that seemed to bend the rules of physics. I am saying that the precursors left things behind. Powerful things. And I am saying that using this technology might have consequences we do not understand. Zhang studied the images carefully. Can we stop using it? No, ma'am. We need it to survive. Without the precursor technology, we would be helpless against the Council. Then we continue. But keep researching. I want to know what these precursors were and what happened to them. Across the galaxy, the political situation continued to deteriorate. 3 elder races declared neutrality, refusing to support further military action against humanity. 5 junior species began their own rebellions, seeing that the Council could be defied. On Valoria Prime, High Chancellor Tevron sat in his command center, watching his empire crumble. The humans had beaten the Cathari. The Council was fracturing. Everything he had built his life around was falling apart. We have one option left, his military advisor said quietly. The Worldbreaker Fleet. Tevron looked up. The Worldbreaker Fleet. The evacuation of Earth began immediately. Billions of people moved into underground cities that had been prepared for this possibility. Massive bunkers deep beneath the surface, capable of sustaining life for years if necessary. Children cried as they left their homes. Parents tried to stay calm, to be strong. In orbit, the human fleet assembled. Every ship that could fight, every weapon that could fire. Admiral Sarah Volkov stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the preparations. She had not slept in 2 days. Her eyes were red with exhaustion, but her mind remained sharp. Admiral, we have confirmation, her intelligence officer reported. The Worldbreaker fleet will arrive in 16 hours. 500 capital ships. They are not hiding their approach. They want us to see them coming, Volkov nodded slowly. Psychological warfare. The Valorians wanted humanity to feel fear, to understand how outmatched they were. Perhaps they hoped humans would surrender before the battle even began. They did not understand humans very well. Status on the Prometheus array? Volkov asked. Her science officer checked his displays. All systems are ready, Admiral. The installations on Mercury are at full power. The stellar manipulation fields are calibrated. But ma'am, you know the consequences. Using this weapon will be visible across the galaxy. Everyone will know what we did. I know. Volkov's voice was quiet. I also know what will happen if we lose. The Valorians will not show mercy. They will destroy Earth, kill our people, erase us from history. She looked at the tactical display showing the approaching Valorian fleet. 500 ships, against humanity's 200 defending vessels. The odds were impossible, unless they used the Prometheus array. Dr. James Foster appeared on a communication channel. Admiral, I need to speak with you. It is urgent. Doctor, I am somewhat busy preparing for the battle that will determine if humanity survives. That is exactly what I need to discuss. Please. Volkov sighed and transferred to a private channel. Go ahead, Doctor. The Prometheus array is based on precursor technology. We have been studying the artifacts we found, learning how they manipulated stars, but Admiral, we still do not fully understand how it works. Using it could have consequences beyond what we anticipate. We have tested it. On a small scale, yes. But weaponizing our own sun, using it against an entire fleet, that is different. The energy release will be massive. And there is something else. Foster paused. We found something in the precursor data. Warnings. Symbols that suggest the precursors went extinct not from war or disease, but from something they awakened. Something they drew attention to by using this kind of technology. Volkov closed her eyes. Are you telling me that using the Prometheus array might bring down some unknown threat on humanity? I am saying it is possible. I am saying we should consider alternatives. Doctor, in 16 hours, 500 Valorian warships will arrive here. They will destroy everything we love. What alternative would you suggest? Foster had no answer. I appreciate your warning, Volkov said gently. Truly I do. But we use the weapons we have or we die. It is that simple. She ended the call and turned back to her crew. All stations, prepare for battle. This is what we have trained for. This is what we built the Shadow Fleet for. We protect Earth, we protect humanity. Whatever it takes. The next 16 hours passed slowly. Human ships took up defensive positions around Earth. Weapons were charged. Crews checked and rechecked their systems. On Earth's surface in the underground cities, families huddled together and waited. Then the Valorian fleet arrived. 500 massive warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. They appeared like a swarm of metal locusts blotting out the stars. On his flagship, High Chancellor Tevron smiled. Look at them, he said to his officers. 200 ships trying to defend against 500. They are either very brave or very stupid. Shall we demand surrender, Chancellor? No mercy. No negotiation. Humanity wanted war. We will give them extinction. The Valorian fleet began its advance. They moved in perfect formation, a wall of metal and weapons advancing on Earth. They expected the human fleet to engage them, to try desperate tactics to fight and die. Instead, the human ships began retreating. Falling back toward Earth, toward the sun, they run. One of Tevron's officers laughed. They see our might and they flee. But Tevron felt uneasy. He had studied the battles at Valoria Prime and Proxima Gate. Humans did not run. They were stubborn, aggressive. They fought even when fighting seemed pointless. So why were they retreating now? Slow our advance, he ordered. Scan for anomalies. Something is wrong. His science officer studied the sensor data. Chancellor, I am detecting unusual energy readings from the planet Mercury. The readings are massive. The officer's voice trailed off in shock. Chancellor, they have built installations on Mercury. Hundreds of them. And they are all pointed at the sun. Tevron stared at the display. What are they doing? I do not know, but the energy levels are increasing exponentially. Whatever it is enormous. Then Admiral Volkov's face appeared on every Valorian communication channel. High Chancellor Tevron, she said calmly, you have brought your fleet to our home. You have come to destroy us, to kill our children, to erase humanity from existence. You think you have already won? She paused. You are wrong. We gave peace every chance. We tried to follow your rules. We begged you to show mercy to our colonies. You laughed at us. You murdered our civilians. You have proven that the only language the Council understands is force. Another pause. Very well. Let me show you what force truly means. On Mercury, the Prometheus array activated fully. Massive installations built over decades using technology that should not exist. Technology adapted from ancient precursor artifacts. The installations created focused magnetic fields of impossible strength, reaching up to touch the sun itself. Sol, humanity's star, the giver of life to Earth, responded. A solar flare erupted from the sun's surface, but this was no natural occurrence. This flare was guided, directed, focused by the magnetic fields from Mercury. It lanced out into space like a blade of pure energy, millions of degrees of superheated plasma moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The Worldbreaker fleet had no time to evade. They were too close, moving too slowly in their confident advance. The solar tsunami struck them like the fist of an angry god. The front ranks of the Valorian fleet simply vaporized. Ships that had taken decades to build ceased to exist in microseconds. Metal melted, hulls cracked, reactors exploded. In the first 30 seconds, 100 ships were destroyed. The survivors tried to turn to flee, but the plasma wave spread wider, catching them. Another wave of ships died. Then another. On the Indomitable, Volkov watched her tactical display with no expression on her face. She saw the numbers update. 100 ships destroyed. 200. 300. Part of her was horrified at the destruction. Part of her remembered the civilian ships at New Haven. The families killed by Valorian weapons. Part of her knew this was necessary, but hated that it was necessary. "Admiral," her communications officer said quietly, "the surviving Valorian ships are surrendering. They are requesting mercy." "Grant it," Volkov said immediately. "Tell them to power down weapons and prepare to be boarded. Any ship that tries to run or fight will be destroyed. But those who surrender will be treated fairly." The order went out. The remaining Valorian ships, about 100 vessels, stopped their retreat and shut down their weapon systems. They had seen human fury unleashed. They did not want to see more. High Chancellor Tevron sat on his bridge in shock. 400 ships. 400 ships gone in minutes. The world-breaker fleet, the pride of Valoria, reduced to wreckage floating in space. And the humans had done it with their own sun. They had turned their star into a weapon. "All channels," Tevron said quietly. "Broadcast on all frequencies. Surrender. The Valorian Empire surrenders." Across the galaxy, every species with the ability to see had watched the battle. They had seen the world-breaker fleet's destruction. They had seen humanity weaponize a star. In the Galactic Council chamber, representatives sat in stunned silence. The junior species looked at each other with new understanding. The elder races looked pale, frightened. "They can do this to any system," someone whispered. "They can turn any sun into a weapon." The realization spread. Humanity could now threaten any world in the galaxy. Every species with a homeworld orbiting a star was suddenly vulnerable. The balance of power had shifted in minutes. On Earth, in the underground cities, people emerged slowly as the all-clear signals sounded. They looked up at the sky at their sun and felt a mixture of pride and terror. Humanity had won, but at what cost? What had they become? Admiral Volkov sat alone in her quarters after the battle. She had ordered the use of the Prometheus array. She had killed 400,000 Valorians with a single command. Yes, they had come to destroy Earth. Yes, they would have shown no mercy. Yes, it was them or humanity, but still, 400,000 lives. She put her head in her hands and wept for the first time in 20 years. Commander Shalara, still a prisoner on a human ship, watched recordings of the battle. She had fought humanity and lost. She had thought she understood them. Now she realized she understood nothing. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Sol. The galaxy was a very different place now. Ambassador Marcus Chen stood in what remained of the old council chamber. It had been rebuilt, redesigned. The high platforms where elder races once looked down on junior species were gone. Now all representatives sat at the same level. The new Assembly of Worlds, they called it. "We gather today to formally ratify the new charter," Chen said. He had been elected Secretary General, the first human to hold such a position. All species, regardless of age or power, will have equal representation. All decisions require majority vote. No species may attack another without facing consequences from the entire assembly. The representatives voted. The charter passed with only 3 dissenting votes, all from former council hardliners who still could not accept the new reality. High Chancellor Tevron was not among them. He had been removed from power by his own people, put on trial for his crimes. The new Valorian government had offered formal apologies to humanity and agreed to pay reparations for the destroyed civilian convoy. Humanity had agreed to help rebuild what they had destroyed. Human engineers worked alongside Valorian workers, repairing stations, helping restore their orbital infrastructure. It was strange to see former enemies working side by side, but slowly trust was being built. Commander Shalara attended the assembly as the Cathari representative. After her time as a prisoner, after seeing how humans treated those they defeated, she had returned home and argued for peace. Many Cathari had listened. The warrior culture was beginning to change, to understand that strength meant more than just military power. "We have learned a hard lesson," Shalara told the assembly during one session. "We thought strength was everything. The humans showed us that mercy is also strength, that choosing peace when you could choose war is the hardest choice of all. But not everyone was happy with the new order. In the shadows, some elder race factions plotted revenge. Some junior species wanted harsher punishments for their former oppressors. The peace was fragile, held together by shared fear of what would happen if war broke out again. Because everyone remembered the Prometheus array. Everyone knew humanity could turn stars into weapons. That knowledge changed everything. Admiral Sarah Volkov had retired from military service. She could not continue after what she had done. The weight of 400,000 deaths was too much to bear while commanding a fleet. She now worked as an advisor to the Assembly, helping design new defensive strategies, teaching other species about human technology. She looked older than her years. The gray in her hair had spread. Lines marked her face, but her eyes remained sharp, focused. "We cannot pretend it did not happen," she told a gathering of military leaders from various species. "We used a terrible weapon. It was necessary, but it was still terrible. The galaxy fears us now, and they have reason to fear. We must prove that fear is not warranted. We must show that we can be trusted with power." In a small cafe on Earth, Captain Jennifer Wu's daughter sat with friends, all teenagers now. They had been children during the war, evacuated to the underground cities. Now they lived in a world where humanity was respected, feared, powerful. "Do you think it was worth it?" one of the friends asked. "All the death, all the destruction?" Wu's daughter thought about her mother, who had died trying to deliver food to hungry colonists. She thought about the 847 people who died in space that day, guilty of nothing. "My mother died because the council thought we did not matter," she said quietly, "because they thought human lives were worth less than their pride." Was stopping that worth fighting for? Yes, I think it was. But even as humanity tried to build peace, other concerns grew. Dr. James Foster worked in his laboratory, studying data from deep space probes. What he saw disturbed him greatly. "Prime Minister Zhang," he said during a secure communication, "we have a problem, a very serious problem." Zhang appeared on his screen, looking tired. Leading humanity through the transition to the new assembly was exhausting work. "What is it now, Doctor? Remember the warnings I gave about using the Prometheus array? About unknown consequences?" "I remember." "What have you found?" Foster pulled up astronomical data. 6 months ago, we detected unusual readings after the array fired. Echoes from deep space. We thought they might be natural phenomena. We were wrong." He zoomed out the display, showing the entire galaxy. At the edges, massive structures were appearing. Things that had not been there before. "These structures are enormous, Prime Minister. Each one is larger than a solar system. Our best analysis suggests they are precursor constructs, and they are moving. All of them are moving toward the galactic core." "Toward us?" Zhang felt her blood turn cold. "How long until they arrive?" "Based on their current speed? 3 years. Maybe 4. What are they?" "We do not know. But Prime Minister, we found something else. We translated more of the precursor warnings. They left messages specifically about using stellar manipulation technology. They said it would wake something up. They said it would draw attention from those who watch. The precursors, or something else. Something that made the precursors disappear. Whatever these structures are, they are responding to the energy signature from the Prometheus array." Zhang sat in silence for a long moment. "Does anyone else know?" "Not yet. But they will figure it out soon. Their own astronomers will detect the structures. Then we need to tell them. The Assembly needs to know. If something is coming, something that threatens all of us, we need to face it together." Foster nodded. "That is what I hoped you would say." The next Assembly meeting was unlike any before. Chen stood before the gathered representatives and explained what Earth scientists had discovered. He showed them the images of the approaching structures. He explained the precursor warnings. The chamber erupted in panic. "You have doomed us all," one elder race representative shouted. "You used technology you did not understand, and now something is coming to destroy us." "We use that technology to survive," Chen replied calmly. "To defend ourselves against your fleet. But yes, there may be consequences, and we will face those consequences together. Why should we help you?" Another voice called. "This is humanity's fault!" Shalara stood. "Because whatever is coming, it will not care about old grudges. It will not care who started what war. If it is a threat, it threatens all of us. We stand together or we die separately." Other junior species representatives stood as well, speaking in support. Slowly, grudgingly, even some elder race representatives admitted the truth. They had no choice but to cooperate. Very well, Chen said. Then we prepare. We share all our technology, all our knowledge. Humanity will contribute everything we learned from precursor artifacts. Other species will do the same. We build a defense together. The vote passed. The assembly agreed to begin immediate preparation for what might come. Former enemies sat in research labs together, combining their knowledge. Valorian scientists worked with human engineers. Cathari military strategists planned alongside those they had once fought. The younger species contributed what they could, eager to prove their worth. Aboard a joint human Cathari research vessel, Commander Shalara worked with Admiral Volkov. The two had formed an unlikely friendship, bonding over shared experiences of war and the weight of command decisions. Do you think we can stop whatever is coming? Shalara asked. I do not know, Volkov admitted, but I know we have a better chance together than we would separately. The war taught us that much at least. It is strange, Shalara said. 6 months ago we were enemies. I would have killed you without hesitation. Now we work side by side. War is like that. It forces people to see each other clearly. The Council thought humans were weak, primitive. They learned different. Humans thought the Cathari were mindless warriors. We learned different too. When you are forced to truly understand your enemy, sometimes you find they are not so different from you. Do you think that is why the precursors left their warnings? Because they knew that any species advanced enough to find their technology would eventually face the same test? Volkov considered this. Maybe they wanted to see if we would destroy each other or learn to work together. We came very close to destruction, but we did not destroy each other. We found another way. Yes, and maybe that is the real test. Not whether we can win wars, but whether we can stop fighting them. On Earth, in a small garden in Geneva, Marcus Chen sat with his granddaughter. She was 5 years old, too young to remember the war. She played with toys while Chen watched the sunset. Grandfather, she asked, is it true you saved the world? Chen smiled sadly. I helped. Many people helped. We fought a war because we had to, not because we wanted to. Did you win? We survived. That is a kind of winning. But victory in war always costs something. We paid a high price for peace. Will there be more wars? I hope not, little one. I truly hope not. But if there are, I hope we will be smart enough to avoid them. And if we cannot avoid them, I hope we will remember that our enemies are people too, with families and dreams just like ours. The little girl thought about this, then went back to her toys. Chen watched her play and thought about the future. Something was coming from deep space, something that might threaten everything. But for now, in this moment, there was peace.